Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to a new episode of Creative Soul Sunday. Come on into the room. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. It's self care time. Come through. Come on in, come on in, come on in. I'm always so happy to be with you and to share this moment with you. Thank you for joining me. So, you know what to do once you're in the room, right? Get you a yummy beverage of your choice so you stay hydrated throughout this process. Very, very important. Get you into a cozy little corner where you're not going to be disturbed by anybody for the next little bit. Then get you your journal because, yes, we do love to explore journal prompts and questions over here as a way of just deepening our self-care and our soul care. I was almost combining those words together. We're here for self-care. It's more like caring for our souls, actually. We go a little deeper than surface level self-care. So yeah, set the tone and your environment so that you allow yourself to not only be cozy and comfy, but to soften from the inside. Yeah. And allow yourself to be vulnerable. So if you need to light a candle to help with that process, go right ahead and do that. If you need to diffuse a beautiful essential oil in your space, you go right ahead and do that. Maybe you want to burn a little incense. I don't know, darling. Whatever gets you into the state of cozy and comfy, I just want you to go right ahead and do that. Yeah? Okay, great. Now you're ready. Let's get into our topic for today. What are we discussing this Sunday? We are talking about releasing self judgment. Yes, we are going there. This is a juicy one. So let's get right into it, shall we? So, this topic, I'm actually going to split it into two parts because it is so big a topic and it's so important as well. Because if we're going to love ourselves better and to show up and be our full selves, we really, really, really need to do away with self judgment, which is something that a lot of us deal with like chronically, right? So, we really want to give this topic its due diligence. So we're going to do it as a two-part thing, right? It's beautiful and I'm glad you're here. So let's go on this 2-week journey where we are releasing self-judgment. Let's do that together. All right? Okay. So if you've been around here for a while watching these episodes, you will find that almost with every episode, I always say, as you journal, make sure that you leave self-judgment out the door, put your compassion hat on, because you cannot grow while you are berating yourself at the same time. So today, I want to dig a little deeper into this statement and why I'm always encouraging us to leave self judgment out the door. Most often, when we are in self judgment, we ask such disempowering questions of ourselves. And disempowering questions are questions where, yeah, you could ask that question, but how does that empower you, right? Asking those questions leaves you in a worse state than if you hadn't asked that question. And then there are empowering questions. Empowering questions, they bring in like interest and curiosity into the situation. And when you ask those questions, they are an invitation to explore something a little bit more. So oftentimes when we are in self-judgment, the thing we ask ourselves the most is, what's wrong with me? How could I do that? What is wrong with me? Right? Why would I do that again? I should have done this, or I could have done that, but I didn't. And now you are in a mental loop where you are just going round and round and round and round in circles over whatever it is you're berating yourself about. So, journal prompt number 1: how often do I judge myself? Whether you're looking at this like from a weekly basis or like a daily basis, just check in with yourself. How often am I berating myself for something? Yeah, no judgment as you do this. We just really want to bring it to light so that we can heal it. Yeah. And then you also want to check with yourself. When I'm in that space where I am berating myself, I'm in self judgment, I'm being self critical, what am I usually in judgment of? What am I usually berating myself about? This is very important because this is going to shed a little light on the areas of your life where you are the most critical at this moment. Yeah. So just check with that. How often am I in self judgment? And what am I often in self judgment about? You got that? Good. You're doing amazing. You're doing so amazing. I know this episode requires you to be really vulnerable with yourself, and I'm so proud of you so far. So let's keep going. When we're in self-judgment, there's a lot of blame going on of ourselves. It's almost like we're banging our head against the wall. That is literally the energy that we are experiencing in those moments. What is happening at that time is that we are kind of shortchanging ourselves. So, you know how when you meet somebody new, it could be a romantic, situation going on, or not, just beautiful people that you meet and you strike a friendship, right? What are we most excited about? We're excited to get to know this person a lot more. What are they about? What do they do? What do they think? How do they react to situations? What are their ideas, their hobbies, all of these things. We are so interested in knowing and exploring other people and their ideas and how they see life when we are in relationship with those people, right? Romantic or platonic, it doesn't matter. There's always this interest in getting to know the other person. What we don't often do, which is what I want to encourage you to do, is to want to get to know yourself more. Most of us don't know ourselves enough. Yeah, I know, shocking, right? Because we are with ourselves all the time. What are we doing with that time? I don't know. But most of us don't know ourselves enough. So you are not even sure sometimes what you really think about certain things or what you want or what you value because you don't spend enough time getting to know you. So I really want you to take on this idea, and I hope you get excited about it the same way you get excited about somebody else when you meet them, a new person when you meet them, and you want to know more about them. I would love for you to want to know more about you, because we are conditioned in so many ways as we are growing up in the different environments, in which we grow up, right? There are certain values that are things that are valued and others not. There are certain ways of doing things, and in other ways we think that's weird or strange, right? And it could be negative or positive, it doesn't matter. We have all of these conditionings that we're dealing with. And what happens with that is sometimes those conditions we grow up around don't allow for the fullest of our expression to come through. So we might have to lessen ourselves a little bit in some way so that we can fit in with other people. And when we start doing that, we start to lose a sense of ourselves. We even lose some excitement or curiosity as it comes to ourselves, because now we are more concerned with keeping up the appearances or keeping the conditions, as opposed to actually allowing ourselves to be who we truly are. And so when we're dealing with self-judgment, this comes into play a lot. And I'll tell you why. Oftentimes when a situation or a scenario happens, subconsciously, most of the time, something that we value or that we treasure or that we think matters is not being acknowledged, or it's not being valued like we think it should. But we don't recognize that very easily because it's happening from the subconscious level. So we might react to a situation, circumstance, event, person, what have you, not knowing why would I do it that way, right? But that's because there was like a visceral reaction from somewhere within you because something of importance to you is being questioned here or is being challenged here. So when you then go off to blame yourself for such and such a thing happening before you actually explore what was going on with you, you are also doing yourself a disservice because you also deserve to advocate for yourself and the things that you value. And you'll find that in most misunderstandings and miscommunication, it is really that we're unable to either hear their values or to express ours in some way, right? So, back to that disempowering question, what's wrong with me? I want you to turn that into an empowering question and ask yourself in those moments, what is going on with me? What is happening to me? Or what happened to me? Okay? See the difference here. What is wrong with me? As you are assuming blame, you are assigning blame, you are berating yourself. What is going on with me? That's an invitation to explore something here a little bit deeper, a little further, to see, hey, what's happening within me that is causing me to do such and such a thing, or to say such and such a thing, or to have such and such an attitude. So I just want you to give yourself a little benefit of doubt, right? So that you allow yourself to explore what is going on with you in those scenarios where you're berating yourself the most. I bet you might come back to me in the comments and explain to me, oh my God, Fadzi, I didn't know that this value of mine was either not being expressed or I felt like it was being violated in some ways. That's why I've been responding in this manner, right? So I want you to go and explore that before you just go on ahead and berate yourself. All right? Good. Very, very good. Let's continue, darling. So when we're in self-judgment, it's also because our perception is a little bit warped, right? We are not seeing things from a holistic point of view. We're seeing it only from one angle. And we're not giving ourselves that benefit of the doubt that there are other things at play here. Why do I say that? Sometimes in an event or a situation or whatever, other people are responding from emotions being high in the moment, right? And how do we get there? We get there because as people, we are bringing everything that we've experienced in the past to the table when we're interacting with one another. Yeah, all my past traumas, all the things that I've seen before, I bring them to the table to interact with other people unknowingly, right? So if I'm bringing all of that to the table and you're bringing all you've seen to the table, what happens when there is miscommunication or a misunderstanding or a difference in opinion or a difference in perspective, right? Then that clash can sometimes happen. And then if you are somebody like a people pleaser or somebody who just feels like, oh my God, I'm always doing something wrong, maybe it's me who made the mistake, then you start to berate yourself over and over and over and over and over again, taking blame for things that were also out of your control because you don't know what other people are thinking unless they tell you what they're thinking. And even when they do, you don't always know the reason they think that way, right? They've seen things in their lives that made them come to this conclusion. You often find yourself at times experiencing a new situation, and what do you say? Oh, I'm just going to keep an open mind for this one. Why is that important a statement for you to say? Because you could bring all the baggage you've experienced before to the table, and it clouds your judgment and how you see this experience that is happening right here, right now. So you have to suspend all of that judgment so that you can see clearly. And as people, we are walking around full of traumas and past experiences, beautiful and ugly, and all of the kind of stuff. And we bring it to the table when we're dealing with people subconsciously. So when you are now here berating yourself over an experience or a situation or something and going at yourself so crazy like that, is that fair to you? Could you have known that this is the experience that this person is using to look at this situation through? You couldn't have known that. So that's why I say self-judgment can be a real projection because you don't even have full information, but you're over here judging yourself. And I know this gets tricky when we talk about things that we are socially conditioned to accept as good or bad, right? We also have that layer. And so sometimes that's why when things happen, even if you maybe were correct or you had a point, right? Maybe it's not acceptable because that's not the socially, acceptable position or whatever. All of those things play a role. So essentially what we're saying here is be mindful of that. Look at the whole thing holistically, right? Before you go in on yourself like that. You have no idea how other people are seeing things and whether or not they were responding from their own issues and anxieties. Okay, so I'm going to pause things right there. That's enough for today. And you've done so amazing, darling. I know this requires you to be very, very vulnerable with yourself. So I just want you to pat yourself on the back. You've done a great job with part 1 of our topic, releasing self-judgment. We'll be back again next week to continue this topic and to complete it. We still have some points that we need to look into that I think are really going to help you to do away with self-judgment, or at least to give you the tools to know how to work with it, because it's always going to come up, right? It's not like a one and done, but we can start to look at it from a different perspective. And so stay tuned next week for the second part. And for this week, beautiful, you go right ahead and have a lovely week. Make sure you take good care of yourself and keep working on some of these prompts throughout the week. Come in the comments, tell me how you're finding the topic, especially before next week comes, so that if there's anything that you want me to add or whatever, I could maybe add it in, or or something, just let me know. All right, and then I'll see you again next week, same place, for another episode of Creative Soul Sunday. Love to you.